Hello, good morning, and welcome to Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have, for this taste challenge, we have Johnnie Walker Red Label, the famous Johnnie Walker Red Label, introduced a long time ago, rebranded in 1909 as Johnnie Walker Red Label. It used to be called Old Highland Scotch Red Label. Okay, but anyway, Diageo brand today, best-selling Scotch whiskey in the world, uses up to 30 different Scotch whiskeys in the blend. They say it's a smoky, strong smoky flavor. Well, it is. It's saying on the website. Come on. Crackles with, I don't even know if I picked up a whole lot of spice, and it's bursting with vibrant, smoky flavors, followed by a mellow bed of vanilla and fresh zestiness, and the Johnnie Walker signature of a long, lingering, smoky finish. But yeah, definitely the smoke. J&B Rare. This is made to be a mixer. I know that. It says it on the website. It's telling you this is made to be a mixer. In other words, don't expect a whole lot of bold flavors because you ain't going to get them. Now, it says established in 1749. Justinian Brooks traces their history back to 1749. Not this Scotch. This only goes back to like about 1933. They said once Prohibition ended, they decided to make or have made their own Scotch house brand made, because J&B is more of a procurer than a producer. But anyway, inspired by an Italian, created in London and distilled in Scotland, J&B Rare is unlike any other Scotch whiskey. It brings together 42 single malt and grain whiskeys, and it's probably 80% grain, carefully blends them to create a subtle, smooth, and complex flavor. It's this delicate balance that gives J&B Rare its distinctive character. If we took even one whiskey away, you would taste the difference. Well, maybe I wouldn't, because I'm not a trained. They would. At the heart of J&B Rare are the malt whiskeys from Speyside, a region recognized for making single malt. They provide fruity, fresh quality you can taste, and also give J&B its light color. Added to that, oh, they forgot to put a space. It's funny how you had these huge billion-dollar companies, right? Huge billion-dollar companies, and you always can find just glaring errors, like they don't put a space between the period and the new sentence. You would think they'd catch that kind of stuff, but they don't. Added to that are some of the finest grain whiskey Scotland has to offer. They help reveal the individual flavors of the various malts, unveiling the smooth character of J&B Rare. Well, and they give you some mixed drink ideas here. Ginger ale twist, rare cola twist, rare whiskey sour. Thebar.com. Okay, let's see if I can get to the Justinian Books main site. Justinian. Oh, here we go. Justinian Brooks. London Wine Merchants. There you go. There you go. There you go. BC, of course. Whiskey ginger highball, whiskey Scotch highball, whiskey rusty nail. Then they talk about the blend. Johnnie Walker story. I want to look that up. Yeah, 1820. They weren't making whiskey in 1820. Okay, it's just that's when the guy got started. So when you look at these bottles, you think, wow, they've been making this since 1820. Wrong. Just like Jim Beam, you say, wow, they've been making it since 1795. Wrong. Okay, here we go. In 1867, Alexander Walker launched Johnnie Walker's first blend, and it was called Old Highland Whiskey. Okay, didn't even say the word Walker. It was Old Highland Whiskey from Johnnie Walker and Sons. And then in 1909, they rebranded it. So we're talking about 1867. 1934, they were granted a royal warrant, January 1st, 1934, to provide whiskey to the royal household, King George V. Now here we go, Justerini and Brooks, another company. They're both part of Diageo, but they kind of operate as independent companies. That's how a lot of these conglomerates work. Justerini and Brooks, it says, by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, the merchants Justerini and Brooks Limited, St. James Street, London, England. So you can see that they both of these products have a royal warrant to supply whiskey to the British royal family. Now, whether they're drinking J&B Rare and Johnnie Walker Red Label, I couldn't tell you. Some scotch for breakfast, yeah. Bushmills has a 16-0 date on the bottle. Yeah, you have to watch that because that can be deceptive. They're not lying, but it makes people get the impression that the product has been around that long, and really it's just the company can trace in some ways, oftentimes, back to that date. So like these Pilsner beers, they'll say 16 or 1614. Well, they didn't even have Pilsner beer until 1842. All right. Pilsner wasn't even developed until 1842. What they're saying is the company. Then you read the history of the company carefully, which most people don't bother to do. I understand people are busy, whatever. Although some people, they tell me they're busy and they play video games for 6 hours. So I was like, well, you were busy at something, but you weren't exactly what you call busy. But I understand. Okay. But then if you read the history of the companies, you find out, yeah, the product doesn't really go back that far. Now, Budweiser, it says 1876, and that's when the brand Budweiser hit the market. But the company was actually from the 1850s. They were making beer about 20 years before Budweiser. It's just that became their most popular brand. Let's see, Justerini and Brooks, full wine list. Now, if you look at their website, J&B website, they got Old World wines, Alsace, Beaujolais, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Loire, Rhône, the rest of France. They got Austria and Hungary. It's not a single country anymore. You know, it used to be the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but Austria and Hungary. And I bet you it's like that because this company's so old that their accounts pre-World War I, over 100 years ago, were Austro-Hungarian wines. And they just kept it that way on their list. Germany, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. Well, they haven't been a united country since what, 1640? Okay, Justerini's house wines, single bottle list, champagne and sparkling wines, New World wines, Australia, New Zealand, California, etc. Grape variety, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Shiraz, Nebbiolo, Chenin Blanc, bicolor, red, white, rosé, and sweet, fortified in spirits, port, Madeira, sherry, brandy, Pimm's, J&B Rare. Let's see what brandy they offer. We're not going to go on this forever, but it's interesting, you see. It's interesting that the Scotch is just one of their products with their name on it. They make so much stuff. You can't believe it, man. De Montal, special reserve and VSOP. You can order this. You can buy it. Now, assuming they'll ship to your state. Boss, and I think this is the kind of company where you can't really buy it for your personal use. It's like you're a company and you buy cases of it. You know what I'm saying? Domaine de Bertuc, 1962, Ba Armagnac Baco, $155 a bottle. Or price for a case, £155. Okay, so this goes on and on. Fascinating thing, though. Let's go back to this. And if you want to be just brokering, latest offers, whiskey, fine and rare whiskey, single cask, collecting whiskey, special releases, J&B Rare. Let's see. So this is coming from their website. J&B Rare is a Scotch whiskey that bears the name of a love-struck Italian. Well, we don't go into all of that. The pedigree bottling of J&B Rare still retains its signature blend of prestigious single malt and grain whiskeys from across Speyside, featuring heart malts, quote unquote, heart malts from Knockando, Ochroisk, Strathmill, and Glenspey, otherwise known as wine merchants whiskey. Justerini Brooks created J&B Rare in the early 1930s. I said 1933. That's the mid, but getting into the mid. The whiskey rose to prominence from its public association with Hollywood Rat Pack of the 50s and 60s. Okay, so taste profile. Naturally pale in color. Notice. See how pale? I don't think this is colored. I don't think they're adding caramel color. Video games aren't productive. A waste of time, not like sipping whiskey. Right. Yeah, this is really accomplishing a lot, right? So look how pale. I don't think they're adding color. It's just such a pale straw color. Matured in oak cask for a minimum of 3 years. Okay, so they're at least 3 years old. The finer heart malts are aged for longer. So they could be 12 years, but you got to go with the age of the youngest whiskey to add fullness and depth of flavor, creating the unique taste of J&B Rare. Nose, fruity, grassy, and aromatic on the nose, with notes of soft apple and pear. So they're saying fruity. These are perfectly balanced on both the nose and the palate by American oak and just a hint of smoke. Yes, and you'll notice that J&B is not very smoky. Palate. Now the flavor. Layers of rich vanilla, well balanced with a smooth finish. Lively and light. New grain capitalized. Creates a subtle canvas for the blend. New malt adds body and aromatic notes of spice and fresh fruit. And then they've got all these mixed drinks on here. Signature ginger, aromatic, pink, julep. Price per case. Oh, this must be per bottle. Yeah, 70. See, they have 700 milliliter bottles in Europe. We have 750s in the USA. 1958 pounds. Well, that's about the same as here. I got it on special $18.99, but it's usually more expensive than that. But I got it for $18.99 at ABC Fine Wine and Liquor in Florida, St. Petersburg, Florida. In fact, on US Highway 92 northbound, if you want to be technical. All right. This is deep amber gold. So this one might be colored. This is the Johnnie Walker. So sometimes when you're doing these taste challenges and you're studying a whiskey or a beer or a wine, it's interesting to go to the company's main site. Not necessarily the promotional website like the J&B Scotch website. It's fine, but it's more of a hype thing. The Justerini and Brooks website is more intricate and more sort of like focused on the technical details. And anyway, that's why I put circa 1933. I don't know the exact date. Does the company even know the exact date? Notice how they don't give a specific date. Notice that? They just say in the early 30s. They may not have records that clearly show when it came out. It's another interesting, funny thing. No, not the only company I've run across with those problems where they don't know when they started, when their product came out. Okay, this smells a little peaty. Peaty was a pit bull. Yeah, it's a little compost type thing you get with these Scotch whiskeys. It's almost like a compost pile. Pungent, mild, mellow. Nothing too remarkable there. Now, see in the nose, this one doesn't really stand apart from even like a Highland Mist, which is $6.49 a bottle. $6.49 a bottle, but it's the truth. But it's the flavor that really makes it, because Highland Mist can't. Well, you'll see, it can't make it. Not too different here. Not too different. Smoke, nah. Just a little peat. This one might be a little more depth. This might be a little deeper or stronger than those. A little more candy, yeah, like corn, candy corn. Well, you know, both of these whiskeys probably about 80% maize, grain whiskey made from corn, maize, Indian corn, American corn. Got to watch it because in Europe, when they say corn, sometimes they mean wheat, what we call wheat. Okay. If you go to Japan and get the Scotch whiskeys, which they don't call Scotch since it's not from Scotland, but that's the style in the Empire of Japan. And but they generally are using rice as their filler, their grain whiskey, rice. See, so that's going to have a different thing going. I like them, like the Tokai and the Suntory, other one. But my friend David said, "Oh no, it gives me a bad headache." I said, "Doesn't bother me." But that might be the key to why people that drink Budweiser get nasty headaches. Could be the rice. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I've watched science fiction movies. Okay. Now we shall do the. Will I be able to tell them apart? Yes, I think so. I think the J&B is going to be sweeter and more corn sugar, corn syrup type taste, whereas the Johnnie Walker is going to be more smokier thing. Now remember, these companies are all owned by Diageo, but you got your Johnnie Walker people over there. And if you said to them, "Oh, y'all are the same as J&B, it's all the same company," they'd probably throw a fit and say, "What are you talking about?" You know, and then give you a big lecture on how it's not the same, blah, blah, blah. You know, all right, different operations, different source, different, you know, and that's probably true. Okay. Just like Anheuser-Busch InBev. Yeah, you got Budweiser, and then you got Lef over there in Belgium. They are not going to tolerate or even stand by when you say, "Well, Budweiser, Lef is the same thing." No, 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 no. Same ownership, not the same operations. Okay. Oh man. Y'all want to go eat some smoked? Okay, some smoked pork, because this is what you got. Johnnie Walker is so smoky. You know this is Johnnie Walker now. It's watery too. Yeah, you could taste that clean Scottish water. I mean, I guess it's clean. You do get a water taste. You say, "Water? That's whiskey, fool." I know, but you could taste the water. Taste the water. It's cut down to 80 proof. You know, when they start, it'd be higher, and they cut it with water down to 80. But it's all right, man. It's all right. Good morning, Ron. Good morning to you, Max Walt in the Russian Federation. I don't know if y'all drink Scotch whiskey over there. Okay, taste. You know that's J&B. J&B has a real strong dough flavor. Think of bread dough. Not wheat bread, you know, white bread dough. Yeah, there's a trace of smoke with it, but there isn't much. So if you want a really smoky Scotch whiskey, blended, 3-year age, kind of young, J&B, Johnnie Walker. If you want a doughier flavor, dough, not too much smoke, just and Brooks, rare. Nah. The price, I paid $18 for the Johnnie Walker Red, but I had a coupon though, $4 off. Can you still get it for 18? Yeah. There's one store I know of called Martin Wine Cellar in Metairie, Louisiana. They have it right now, and it's not a sales price. I found that very strange, but they have J&B, Johnnie Walker Red for $17.99. All day, every day. I said, that's really strange, $17.99. Most places you go, they're going to have Johnnie Walker Red Label running you about, at the minimum, $22. Maybe you see a $21.99. I don't think you're going to get it cheaper than that. Walmart, yeah, you're going to get it cheaper if you buy the jug bottle. That's where you want to go. If you're going to utilize it in taste challenges and whatnot, You get your big glass bottle, cost you about 40 bucks. But then you're going to get it much cheaper per ounce. And I think if I run out, and you can see I'm getting through it pretty fast. If I run out, I'll just get the big glass bottle. It's a much better value per ounce, you see. And yeah, you can actually buy the big handle bottles for the Blue Label, believe it or not, but it'll cost you $500, you know. Maybe you could get it for $350, $375 somewhere. I don't know. But you can get those. I've seen these big, huge things. So which one tastes better? Okay, well, I mean, I don't know why I have tags for this challenge. I knew which one was which. I knew that was J&B, and I know that's Johnnie Walker. Look at the colors. Light and dark. Light and dark. They taste alike. Not really. I mean, it tastes like whiskey, of course, but the Johnnie Walker is so smoky. And when I had those Rauch beers, I thought they were very good, like the Scotland and Rauch beer. But I said they're too smoky for me. I bet you if I went back and drank them a second time, I wouldn't be saying that, you know. But I don't see them around anymore. The Scotland and Rauch beers from Germany, I don't see them anymore. I think it's Bamberg, Germany. But if you like the smokiness, Johnnie Walker Red Label is going to work. If smokiness turns you off, you're going to hate it, really. Now, if you're rather a doughy dough, like bread dough, you know, like a good dinner roll, like sometimes you get those dinner rolls after Thanksgiving dinner. This could work for you. And what's giving it that bread dough taste? Not the grain whiskeys. It's the space side. It's there is a little fruitiness, they say, in pear and peach and all, yeah. But you see what I'm saying? It's the single malts that they're blending in. Look, when you drink these, the flavor's not really coming from the grain whiskey, all right? Now, it's complex, so they might have 25 different grain whiskeys that you and I, just regular old people off the street, we'd never be able to figure it out, taste it, test it out, and differentiate. But that's not our job. We don't sit around in a laboratory all day tasting different Scotch whiskeys and spitting them out, you know. So we don't. It would just be above our head. We'd say, oh, this tastes like nothing to me. All right. They're mostly odorless, flavorless, kind of neutral grain spirits. Then you start blending in. That's where the master blender is important. You can start blending in the single malt Scotch whiskeys. Now, J&B uses the space side predominantly, not exclusively. So get that dope. Now, the Johnnie Walker is using the four corners of Scotland's single malts. They're using Highland, Lowland, Speyside, Islay, and they're blending in it. You could probably differentiate if you're an expert. The whiskey scout probably could. I couldn't. Because his channel is much more developed in his abilities. I'm just like basic, you know. I'm saying, oh, this is that, and this is that, and I could taste this, and I could taste that. That's kind of like my level with whiskey. But he would be had much more ability, like the Scotch Test Dummies, their channel, much more ability. And that would be based on experience more than anything. Could I get to that level one day? Probably, perhaps, but we're not there. We're just starting out. So I've only been doing video beer reviews for not even 10 years, so it takes a while. Now, which one do I think is better? Honestly, boy, nice water here too. I think it's just a tie on it. I really think it's a tie. Because then you're talking about personal preference, like, well, I rather dough and you rather Scotch, and you smoke and you rather smoke and I rather dough, and vice versa, whatever. So I don't think that would be fair. The quality level is very high for both. The enjoyment level is very high. Yeah, so the price is about the same. We're talking pennies on the dollar difference. We're not talking any kind of great differences. So it's really your call. Now, if you want to buy J&B, buy it. You want to buy Johnnie Walker, buy it. You say, well, I'd like to try both. I don't think you're gonna come out on a bad end. I would say buy both, try them. You say, well, I'll buy a half-size bottle. You can do that. Problem there is that you end up paying a lot more per ounce. And then if you end up liking it, then you're stuck with a bottle that's you twice as much per ounce, and you didn't get much value from it. I've learned my lesson on that. I don't really buy half, 375s anymore, because you're figuring there isn't much chance it's going to be bad anyway. It's kind of hard to buy bad liquor in America, so your risk factor is so low to start with. Even if you get one that's bad, so-called, it really isn't bad. It just might be dull, So I would recommend at the minimum buying these size bottles, 750 milliliters. I just think it's your best bet. Now, once you really like the product, if you really like it, then you get your 1,750 milliliter, and then you get cheapest per ounce almost every time. You're going to save so much money, in theory at least, for buying that. And then if you like me, like to do these taste challenges, try this, try that, try that. And there's really a benefit. Like I've got that huge, I went and bought Crown Royal, the huge bottle, because I knew I was going to like it. I mean, I'm assuming that. I don't know that. And I'm going to use it. Taste challenge goes on and on and on until the break of dawn. So I figure I'm going to go for it. And I saved a lot of money per ounce buying the Crown Royal jug bottle. I call them jug bottles, big glass. Sometimes plastic, depending on the company, but jug bottles. So this is a tie. My personal preference is that I prefer the Johnnie Walker Red Label because I like that strong, pronounced, smoky flavor. Okay. But I'm a big fan of J&B. I know it's a mixer, but I'm drinking it straight, and it's dynamite. I know they have a black label prohibition. I haven't seen it around lately, but I have seen it in real life. It's really a little expensive, but it's probably worth it. There's also a J&B, letter B. You say J&B, yeah, honey flavored. A liqueur, flavored honey. Well, I don't think I'll be buying that, but this company makes good stuff. So if you're into flavor products, you probably love it. Yeah, so that's it. Now, in 2 days, I plan to do Johnnie Walker Red Label against what you call that stuff, Cutty Sark. I like Cutty Sark. Now, some people say there's nothing to it. I don't agree with that. Now, Cutty Sark is very subtle, so the flavors are going to be real subtle. You have to be very patient if you're drinking Cutty Sark. You can't be in a rush. So if you're in a rush, probably I wouldn't watch that video. But I don't think the Cutty Sark's going to quite match up to Johnnie Walker, and the price is cheaper. It's a little bit cheaper, and it's got its own unique qualities. I think Cutty Sark has a lot going for it. So, well, one thing we've learned is that I cannot get Johnnie Walker Red Label mixed up with anything. Every time I try it, I get it right. You notice that? Like, I haven't confused it with anything. It's so distinct. Some of these Scotch whiskeys I've got, you can say, well, I don't know which one I'm drinking. Okay, because there's so much one like the other. But the Red Label, Johnnie Walker Red Label, you can't confuse it with anything else. Well, at least I haven't yet. And I'm thinking of all the Scotch whiskeys I've got coming up. No, I can't see how I would get it confused. No way. Ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to confuse. I'm going to be 100% correct. That's my prediction. If I have to eat my words, fine. But my prediction is I'm going to be 100% correct on Johnnie Walker Red Label versus everybody else for the rest of this series, which will end by the end of this month, probably much sooner than the end of the month. And so that's that. So thanks for watching this taste challenge. If you want to call it a challenge, it wasn't exactly challenging, but it's thoroughly interesting to me. So final word, Johnnie Walker Red Label. It's an all-day winner. There's no downside. There are no downsides. Kansas City Southern Railroad. Justerini and Brooks Rare, J&B Rare. No downside. No downside. You buy this, you win. Beautiful green bottle. Beautiful bottle. Might be the best looking Scotch whiskey label on the planet. Fabulous looking bottle. Can't lose. Can't lose. Can't lose. Unless you drink too much, you know, and become a drunk or something. Voltron. Any current made American beers at the moment? Well, yes, actually. I have a lot of American made products coming up. I did the Jack Daniel's flavored beers, and those were better than I had expected them to be. And not that I would be running behind that, buying it all the time, you see. But then I have a bunch of craft beers coming from a company called Zoni Mash. The first one I tried wasn't too good. It was sort of a failure, you know what I'm saying? So if I'm paying these kind of craft beer prices now, we got to have some better action, right? We got to have more performance. I mean, recommendation. Oh, recommendation. I don't know. It depends what you're trying to pay. I mean, I bought a whole 30-pack of natural ice for $17.99, which is high for Illinois, but cheap for New Hampshire. It's a winner. I mean, that's a really nice lager. It's made with rice and corn. Yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. It's a grain and barley malt. So it's a multi-grain beer, and they say we should eat multi-grains. Ronnie, yes. Hey, cheers, Ron. Sun just came up here. Yeah, it's on the way here. I can see a little glint. Okay, well, so this was a very interesting experiment. No, it wasn't an experiment. Experience. In 2 days, get ready for Cutty Sark. Cutty Sark, yeah, I really like that product. Really like it. I really like it. I like it. What are you trying? Where do I go? Who do I turn to? All right, anyway, got some cocktail sherry coming up. John Anili's driving himself mad trying to find it, and I feel bad for him because I bought the Fairbanks cocktail sherry. And, you know, same old story. He wants to do the hangout with me, the examination. He can't find it. And contrawise, if he finds something interesting, then I can't find it. And it just is irritating as all get out, as they say on the streets. You know, you hear people in the streets saying that. I was mad as all get out. They say people say things like that in the gritty underside of America's cities. All right, thanks for watching this video production.